Yeah, here, before we get started, Brandon, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Brandon Harrar, creative director and founder at Harvest.
Harvest. And what is it you guys do at Harvest?
We're a creative agency. We focus on branding and
Okay.
development, design.
And so just for the record here for everyone, so we've been working together. You started the agency in 2014, I believe, right?
Yeah,
And we've been working together since, I want to say, 2017.
yeah, pretty much.
You know, it's really interesting. I wanted you to be one of my first guests just because of the fact that I feel like, you know, when you're trying to like impress your dad a little bit or impress your parents with something, so there's just, it's kind of because I was the one to call you and then basically say, hey, what do you think that we should be doing? I want to have this video content strategy. And so you're like, well, I think you should probably do it in-house unless you want to spend $1 bajillion on getting videographers through someone else. And so I kind of feel like I had to impress you before you came here. So I feel like well, what do you think of the studio?
You have to get the 2 or 3 in. I mean, it looks great in here. It's comfortable.
Thank you.
You know?
Thank you. Because it's usually like any single time you're going to get like, it's, well, that's why whenever you've helped us out a lot with all this kind of stuff and getting like the brand going or getting us kicked off.
For sure.
And so, so here, let's get, I want to start, talk to us about Harvest. And like today, so the podcast today, so it's like, so we're called, I didn't even introduce the actual podcast today. We finally found a name. So it's called the Freemium Podcast.
Yeah.
Free and premium. Some people can know what it means. Some people doesn't. If you don't know what it means, you can look it up. I took the name. I was getting pissed off. There's too many people that were being, oh, that's not a good name. Or I really like that name. And you ask 10 people, they give you 10 different answers. They said, you know what? Fuck it. We're going with the Freemium Podcast. That's what we're going with. It's called the Freemium Podcast. And so we're talking. So it's basically like unfiltered business conversations, as I'm sure you already know. So we're going to get into some stuff. You can swear if you'd like. You can do whatever you please. And to just talk about like real business things, I guess you could say, in some particular ways, you know, the ups, the downs. It's not always shiny, and there's too much hustle porn out there, if you ask me. So people go, oh, rise and grind. And there's nothing wrong with rising and grinding and all that kind of stuff, but it gets kind of annoying. And these people that are always, you know, everything seems perfect and everything seems, you know, I feel like there's always a scheme behind those types of guys, you know, or girls. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big social media guy.
Okay.
So for me,
What kind of guy are you?
I'm low key, man. I like to just, you know, I work hard, I do my thing, and
you do work really hard.
you
I tip my hat off to you. You do work very hard, and you've always been good, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoy working with yourself and your agency. You've done a good job up until now, and I definitely think, you know, it's like you said, I view KBD Insurance and I view Harvest as more of a partnership than anything.
Yeah.
The relationship has evolved over the years because like outside factors have evolved. Like perfect example here. So I'm rambling on. Okay, talk to us about Harvest.
Perfect example is this podcast, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you hit me up. You said, I want to do a podcast. What's it going to cost? How are we going to do it? How are we going to pull this thing off? And, you know, obviously cost is a factor in anything that you're going to do.
Of course.
But my, I guess, push for you to, you know, build this thing out internally was less about the cost, more about the turnaround.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to get an agency that is experienced in this space, but that has the availability and the resources to turn like if you wanted to do one of these every single week, it's a lot. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of time.
It would be both.
It's a lot to expect of a company.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's big companies that we could have called and that do this really well.
Well, there's a price for anything. You know, that price could have been if I walked up to someone. I mean, they're gonna take my money, and I said, hey, I want to have a new piece of video content every single day, like 1 to 2 pieces a day, different content. I mean, they're like, we can get that for you. What's it gonna cost? I promise you, it's gonna be over $100,000 a year. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I cut you off there.
And it's just you know, how do you get people here to shoot in the office, to meet the staff, to start getting comfortable with them?
Yeah.
You know, at companies, like just the nature of the beast is that there's always new people. I mean, we've been working together now 6 years, and you know, you've seen a lot of different faces.
Yeah.
And you know, we've done I like to think, a really good job at keeping you in the loop and keeping them, you know, up to speed with KBD and everything about your business, everything about you. Um, but it's a tough thing to ask an agency to make sure that they're available and that whenever they're bringing on new staff, they know exactly kind of what's going on.
Well, that's something that I like about you is the fact that if you don't feel that you're the right person to do the job, you're gonna say it. It's like I legit I remember calling you up. I want to say probably October
Yeah.
of this year. No, before that. But let's say whatever. A couple months ago, I call you up and I go, "This is what I want to do starting in 2023." Well, we're starting now, end of 2022, so we're ahead of schedule. Fantastic. I'm very happy. Thanks for coming here, Joey.
Shout out,
And
Joey.
then Joey's our videographer and editor, and he's got a beautiful mustache.
It's gorgeous. Get over here.
No. We were like, it's gonna be like, it's got to be like Jamie from Joe Rogan. We can't. And one day we're just gonna pop his face in, kind of.
Just a mustache.
Yeah.
No voice.
But what was I talking? What was I rambling about?
Sorry, before we do that, can you just move the mic in a little bit closer?
Yeah.
Sir.
A little bit more.
A little more. Good. You can even grab it like this. Grab it. Yeah. And
Just
point it towards like.
That's perfect.
Just
Yeah.
grab it.
Yeah. You can.
Yeah.
Yeah. We gotta keep it PG. I'm kidding. We can swear. You could say whatever you want. Yeah. Okay. I remember now. That's one of the things that I like, that I enjoy about working with you, is that you are honest. And if you feel that you're not the right person to do the job, or you feel that Harvest isn't the right company to take on the job, you'll tell me. And that's the conversation that we had. Hey, Brandon, this is my strategy for next year. We need to get on producing video content. And if you're any company out there, I really think that you should have a video marketing strategy. It is expensive. It is definitely time consuming, a lot more time consuming than I thought. But I appreciate the fact. And you said, Curtis, dude, this is going to be way too expensive. The availability, logistically, just you're going to be way better off hiring someone in-house.
Yeah.
And kind of just learning on your own.
And there's just going to be a disconnect.
Yeah.
There's always, in this type of work, and we see it a lot, unless the agency has somebody here a couple days a week, it's going to be very difficult for them to be in tune with what's going on.
And if they're here a couple days a week, it's like you said, at that point, just hire someone.
Yeah.
Just hire someone. So Harvest. So you guys are a branding agency.
Yeah.
And like, what's the definition? Yeah. Let's talk about Harvest. I want to talk about Harvest.
So, what do you want to know?
I would like to know, like, are you guys just a branding agency? Because definitely for us, so like, let's just take an example. When it comes to the relationship that we have, yes, you certainly help us out with the branding for KBD Insurance, but the relationship has evolved over the years, and over 50% of the spend now is web development.
Yeah.
So would you say you guys are more of a branding agency or more of a web development agency now? Because like the rise of third-party web developers, it's a really tricky position to hire for. To like I looked into hiring a web developer. I'm like, you know what? I don't know how to code myself. I don't know how to. So I'm aware of the fact that it's costing more per hour for me to pay. And it's like this with any third party. Basically, like, you know, you're looking anywhere from like $150 to $200 an hour for web development. That's par for the course. And I looked at that and said, you know what? The extra cost is worth it, because in my mind, I don't know how to code. What if in the middle of a project, this person just gets up and leaves? Yeah. What if I don't know how to hold them accountable because I can't look at their work. I don't know if it's good or if it's bad. And so, which is why, coming as a client, this is one thing that I'm willing to pay that premium. And there's a lot of companies out there that are willing to pay that premium to basically just get a third-party web development agency. So would you call yourself more of a web development agency now, or a branding agency?
We're more of a creative agency. So what that means is, you know, we have two pillars. We have design and development.
Yeah.
Branding is a little bit more overarching over the two.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll design anything and we'll develop anything within, obviously, certain parameters. So
when you say design anything, you say design any website.
We do digital and we do print design.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, on the development side, our focus really is on Shopify and e-commerce development. But we still take on a lot of projects like yours, which is, you know, informational service-based sites paired with, you know, really heavy back-end integration with intact, and some of the work that we're doing on the web app.
Yeah.
So that's a big project. That's actually launching Monday.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
supposed to launch today, and there's always like little issues and stuff
Yeah,
like
it was a
that, and everything
snowstorm.
like that. Yeah,
Snowstorm.
not sure that had to. Yeah. Well, it wasn't you guys. It had to do with the. Anyways, it doesn't matter what it was, but there's something to do with I had to get
Yeah,
some
at the end of the day,
person
chocolate
to point
never
something to a different
never
IP
launch
address.
on a Friday. That's just
Yeah, you guys have a what? Why don't you launch on Fridays?
It's Friday. It's hard to get staff, and this can segue really into another question I know you're going to have today
Yeah,
about remote.
we're not there yet.
About remote work.
We're
but
not there yet.
We're
Yeah.
going to talk about remote work, but
Oh,
no,
are we
essentially,
ever?
I'd rather pull in my staff on a late night during the week than on a Friday when they've just gone into their weekend. Not to mention, when it comes to development, there's a lot of third-party systems. If we have to get in touch with support with, our hosting company or an app or a plugin developer, they're way less likely to be available. And there's just way less eyes on the work over a weekend. So if something goes wrong, which happens
all the time, more times than not. But, and this isn't a bash on you guys.
No,
this is
that's
just the reality of launching
it's
something.
It's just the reality of development work in general. I mean, there's always something.
Yeah.
And you can have the strongest processes, and you could check your work 1,000 times.
Shit's
and
gonna
you
break.
go, fuck, we missed this one
Yeah.
thing.
And sometimes
so it's just like a rule that
sorry.
it's not even just us. Like, this has kind of like become like, from what we understand, like a little bit of an industry thing, like no launch, no pushes on Fridays. Unless it's like in the morning, so we have the whole rest of the day to look at it, or unless it's something that we've done 1,000 times. Like, so, for example, for you guys, we're launching a couple pages a month.
Mhm.
We've over 150 pages now on your website.
It's a lot. Yeah, we have a lot.
We've done it now, enough times that we know exactly what we're doing. It's like clockwork. But something like this, that's this big, realistically, the week, the extra 2-3 days that we're going to push this out, it's not going to make much of a difference.
I have so many questions in my mind running through my mind right now, and I'm trying to remember all of them and listen to you at the same time. This is the challenge of being a podcast
You
host.
need a notepad, man.
I do have
How
one.
many notepads am I giving you
But
over the years?
That's true. That's true. What I want to say was this. I want to get into kind of the expectations that your clients have when you're building a website for them. And I think this is going to be really good. And this is something that I would love to kind of post on LinkedIn, and just to kind of get, because a lot of times I didn't fully understand the workflow or how things work or how to, I still don't know how to build a website, but my expectations have become a lot more realistic in the sense that a website is never finished.
No.
If you want to, in today's digital age, it is never, ever, ever finished. And people have to stop looking at it as a one-time cost to build a website and look at it as a recurring charge. Because that's the reality of it. And so, like, I remember when we first built the website, I forget how much we paid. I don't know, $10,000. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars now on the website by now, but it's working. We're starting to. It's working. Yeah. It's definitely working, and it's getting better and better every year at a quicker rate and stuff like that. But I remember the first time I bought a website, or the first time we worked, I don't think it was like $10,000 or $15,000 or something. And you built the website, and I'm like, oh, okay, like that's done. We got a website now, and it's just that's not the case. You always have to be, if you want to create as many pages as possible, good pages, not just don't create pages for the sake of creating web pages, but good web pages with a strategy. And to basically, the bigger web that you cast, it's like a net when you go fishing. The bigger the net, the more fish you're going to catch. And so the more pages, the more valuable pages or the more good pages that you have, relevant pages is the word, on your website, the more traffic you're going to basically receive from people like surfing on the web, and good traffic, not just traffic of people fucking around, people looking for things. So I kind of went on a tangent there, but is there anything that you can say? Cause you talk to me about that a lot as well. You're always saying, Curtis, I really enjoy working with you. You have a good understanding for how things work and basically like the expectations. But you've also mentioned you've had some frustrations with other clients before in the past where they don't really understand, or, maybe there's a miscommunication. Can you just kind of like dive into that? And just so for someone standing on the other end, because everyone's looking to build a website, Can you kind of just like give us, for someone who's new to this, who's never built a website before, just talk about the expectations, the workflow, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. So, I mean, we've gotten a lot better, I would say, over the last couple of years at managing those expectations, but that also building out that process, and being able to communicate that process to the client. Now, this goes for everything that you're doing. If you can't explain what it is that you're doing, you're never going to manage the expectation of the client back properly, whether they know what they're talking about or whether they don't, and whether they, will acknowledge the fact that they do or they don't. If you can't communicate it properly and they don't understand what they're getting on the other end, it doesn't matter if it's a masterpiece or if it's a pile of shit. They're still not going to be happy. And that's just the service business in general.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, you go to the store, you buy a pair of shoes. This is the pair of shoes. It's not going to make you fly. It's not going to make you jump,
Higher,
higher.
whatever. Yeah.
It's just that's what you're getting. But in the service business, if they can't explain to you exactly what you're getting, there's a good chance that you're going to be feeling like, you didn't get all that you were, hiring them to do. So that's like one of the biggest challenges that we face.
And in your job, it can be a little bit difficult. And I'll give you another compliment. I'm just going to be pumping your ego all day.
Go.
So it's your contracts have gotten a lot tighter and a lot more. It's because in what you're doing as a branding agency or creative agency, however you want to refer to Harvest as, it's like, okay, here's your it's not as easy to quantify. Like for insurance, it's easy. You pay me, here's your insurance. If something happens, we're going to pay for it. Very easy. This is what I'm getting, or this is what KBD provides. For you, it's not as cut and dry. It's a lot more, it's difficult sometimes.
And it's also, design is very subjective in nature.
Super subjective.
So you're not only dealing with, a service that you can't guarantee that the other person is going to know. And right off the bat, I mean, we do things very differently than every agency is different. I mean, they all have different processes. I don't come from an agency background. So I didn't work for a big or a small company and leave and take what I learned there and just start my own company. I started it from pretty much nothing, not knowing anything about what I'm doing today.
This is a gorgeous segue, by the way.
And I've just, trial and error. You know what I mean? You send out a contract. It should have had X, Y, Z in it. We paid the price. We ate and absorbed whatever it was that needed to happen.
And each contract gets tighter.
And each contract gets tighter and tighter. And it gets a little bit more refined. And the client says, oh, I thought that meant this.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, so that's a big thing, is we're constantly learning, evolving, making tweaks, turning the knobs,
And by the way, same thing in insurance.
Yeah.
Insurance, every single year, they're tightening wordings. They're making little changes here and there. Because something pops up, you're right, that's a gray area.
Yeah.
They'll make the change.
Exactly.
Or you're right, this is, you're absolutely right, Mr. Client. And they'll make the change, just like things like that. But yeah, so you worked at were you like the company you're at before, was it like were you a web developer there?
No.
Or like what were you doing
I was
there?
a media buyer.
Media buyer, okay. And then so you left there and then you started Harvest in 2014.
So I started it while I was there.
Okay.
So I started the company in 2014. I worked on the business for about a year. And
by yourself?
By myself. At the time,
but what were you working on?
Breather was huge. Breather was just getting started.
Yeah. What's Breather?
Breather was I don't know what they are right now. I don't know if they closed or they transitioned into something else. But Breather was a concept where you can book office space, really beautiful office spaces by the hour or by the half day or by the full day.
It's kind of like WeWork.
But they're everywhere. They're all over the place, all over the city, in cities across Canada and the U.S.
Okay.
So I used to book pretty much a Breather every day, whether it was during my lunch hour or after work. And I'd meet clients. I'd doodle on the board. I was just like, getting excited, doing something outside of my job. And it just kind of evolved. You get one client, you do a good job, they refer you to 3 other people. Maybe you close 2 of those 3, you get a few more. And that's been the ever evolving nature of what I'm doing. We don't have anyone in sales. I am the sales team, you know what I mean? And everything's word of mouth. Everything is just organic.
Yeah.
And whenever possible, obviously there's exceptions to this rule, but whenever possible, I make sure that the client is happy and fulfilled and feels good about the work that we did for them and feels good about the money that they spent. And in doing so, sometimes we'll break even, sometimes we'll lose a little bit of money on the job. But 9 times out of 10, there's a referral that's coming up. And, you know, to me, that's the best, and in our case, the only way to continue growing this company.
Are you trying to, do you want to stay hands-on? Because you are you're less hands-on than you used to be. And I don't mean that as an insult, but
No,
you've delegated quite a bit of
for
work.
sure.
Are you trying to do you want to remain hands-on in terms of the business development, or would you ideally like to delegate that eventually? I mean, as a founder, here, let me take a little kind of sidestep as well. As a founder, or just someone a president or whatever, you never really do fully take your, like I still do, I've delegated a lot, but I mean, definitely still do sales
Yeah.
in a different way than I used to.
Exactly.
But would you ever want to completely step out of that, or you don't see yourself ever fully stepping out of
I don't think
bringing in
so.
new business?
I don't think so. I think
Yeah,
maybe
I don't
one
think
day,
so either.
maybe one day I'll bring in a sales guy or
Yeah.
girl to go out and, you know, zero in on specific accounts that we would love to, you know, or specific brands that we would love to work with and go after them rather than, you know, it being inbound and like pretty much fully organic. But I think one of the things that is interesting about us is that I as the owner and founder of this company, I'm still involved in every single project. Nothing leaves the account without me seeing it, for the most part, right? And that's rare. And I think, you know, that's the downfall of the companies that scale too fast or too big, is that they can't keep that quality control. Now, in my case, I don't want to scale past, you know, in and around the size that I'm at. You know, I never set out and intended to build a company that was 30, 40, 50, 100 plus people. It's just not.
How many people are you right now?
Right now we're 10.
Okay. And do you
Yeah.
want to get bigger?
So I'm not sure. I
not
really like the team size that we're at. It's tight. It moves fast. It moves efficiently. We're
Okay.
lean. I mean, it's still, you know, 10 salaries and it's heavy
Yeah.
enough, but like it's I'm happy with the size. I don't think I need to be like, for what? You know what I mean? More money, more problems, right? I mean,
I find that really interesting because I've always asked you that, and I was actually discussing that with Natalie a little bit earlier today at breakfast, and she was asking questions about the guest today, so about you. You know,
Yeah.
we've spoken on the phone, all 3 of us, and Katie as well before. I forget the exact question, but I'm like, I don't think he wants to scale this thing. I think he's happy if the business comes in, fantastic, and then because you like to be. You strike me as someone, well, at least this is what, from my experience working with Harvest, you're hands-on.
Yeah.
You're very hands-on. I love that.
Yeah.
Because I don't care how well you pay somebody, and this isn't a knock on any employee or anything like that, they're never going to, and nor should they, by the way.
Yeah.
They're never going to care as much about the company as you will.
Exactly.
That's just the reality.
Yeah.
It's like I don't expect the employees here to care as much about the business as I do, and if you do think that they should feel like that, then you're delusional. It's not fair to
a certain extent. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree with that. I mean, look, we have great staff and they're passionate and they're hardworking and they
And again,
enjoy what they do.
I
But
want to make
you're
it clear.
right.
I sound like I'm insulting them. By the
No.
way, they do a good job, but I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
no,
this.
but
It's just a reality.
It's the reality of any small business. I
Yeah.
mean, why would they? Why should they? How can you expect them to care as much as the person that owns it, that has everything to lose?
Yeah.
And you know, we're going to be 10 years old next year. That's
10 years old.
That's cool, man. Like that's
Time
9
flies.
that's 9 years at the end of this year of like a lot of crazy stuff has happened.
So I still remember. I want to tell the story. I remember when we first got started, and I guess it was like so we started off. So this is kind of just to show you that just because you get off to a rocky start doesn't mean that it can't flourish into something beautiful.
Yeah.
Like it is today.
Let's tell that story.
Oh, that didn't sound good. What did I just do here? I think I kind of broke the couch. Whoops. Yeah, you see,
Yeah, it's not
employees
my-
don't
it's
care.
not my couch.
I remember. So we spoke to. I spoke to. I said, hey, because I had just left. I won't name the name just to shit talk them. I had left an agency. I was getting into this marketing thing. I love marketing. I can go on for days about it and all that kind of stuff. I'd left the company. They were just doing a shit job. I was pissed off. And then Phil was like, speak to my buddy Brandon.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I hit you up. I think I had asked for, this is a while ago now, I had asked for a quote for a website or something like that. And I think it was just a miscommunication.
Yeah.
So I thought you weren't getting back to me and you were being lazy. Meanwhile, you were doing the work in the back end, getting a quote ready.
Yeah.
And I think because we hadn't talked for like 10 days or 2 weeks or something, I probably jumped the gun. Could you have been a little bit more like, hey, working on it? Probably. I think it was a bit of both. And then I'm just like, oh, fuck it. I don't want to work with you or something. And you're like, all right, fuck you. And
No, it was something. It was along the lines of that. But I think it was, and honestly, this still happens. And I had a conversation with a buddy of mine a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I was curious what his take was on it. Now, we get a lot of inbound leads.
I'm sure.
And we are really, really good at getting to them very quickly, scheduling a call, getting to know them a little bit, making sure that they understand who we are and what we do, and ultimately getting down to brass tacks. Like, what do you need? What can you afford? When do you need this thing by? And just kind of setting the stage. And, that's usually a 15 to 30-minute phone call. And we try to get all of that in there.
Okay.
Cool. We understand the needs. Let me get back to you in a couple days. It's usually a couple days at most, unless it's a very complex project that requires another meeting or two. We get back to them with a quote. Here's a proposal. Fits your budget. It's got everything that you need in it. And we don't hear back from them. And it happens a lot.
I'm sure.
And you start to question. You doubt yourself. And what are we doing wrong? Should we redesign our whole proposal? Should we restructure the way that it's written?
Do you think they're using you sometimes? Like maybe they're already working with an agency?
I think there's a small percentage of that. But like I think, people shop around.
Yeah.
But regardless, and I implore people to shop around. Go get a second opinion. Get an opinion from the guy that's charging you 100 times what I'm charging you, and get an opinion from a guy that's charging a fraction of what I'm charging you.
Yeah.
And understand what the lay of the land is, because at the end of the day, you want a website, you want a logo, go on Fiverr. It's a guy that'll make it for you for $25. He'll have it for you tomorrow. You want a logo? Go pay a huge agency. They'll charge you $150,000.
Yeah.
Or $1 million.
Yeah.
And it'll take them 6 months to a year, and it'll be a masterpiece. And they'll have 50 people working on it. Or, and I'm not saying that we're necessarily in the middle of that range, but then there's what we're doing. And you came to us because you liked something about our positioning, you liked our brand, you liked our portfolio. I hope you enjoyed our call. Like, I think I'm a pretty easygoing guy, and I'm good at explaining things and breaking them down. But the problem is, it's not that you shop around, that you decided to choose the cheapest guy possible. That's just in a lot of people's nature, or it's the reality of their budget or their, at that time. But get back to me.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, decide, like, I'm thinking about, and not even I decided to go with someone else, because I feel like that already is just like, I put in work for you, right? I put this thing together. I would love the opportunity to find a way to get the price down to what you want it to be. So it's one of two things happens. It's either, hey, sorry, we decided to go with this other guy. Thanks for your time. See you later. Good luck, which is going to happen.
Yeah.
Or it's just a ghost. It's just nothing.
The ghost is the worst.
it's just like
It's so rude.
it's just an ugly way of doing business, and it's
And-
so unnecessary.
In,
Like,
in my experience, the people that ghost, they're never good business people.
so the conversation I had a few weeks ago was, what do you think we might be doing wrong in our sales process? And his answer was nothing. It's just, do a bit better of a job at qualifying people at the beginning,
Yeah.
because they exist and they're everywhere, and it's just some people just don't put the same value on the work that we're doing, on branding, on as others, and it's just not the right client, and move on. So
That's something like my old man would to add to that point. He would always tell me he's a good he worked in insurance as well, and he was a very hands-on sales guy.
Yeah.
And he would always bang into my head. On a first meeting, you ask the high-risk questions right off the bat.
Yes.
So you get through them right away, and if they give you an objection or like a showstopper in the first high risk, well, you're not wasting any more of your time.
Yep.
You don't wait till the end to ask your high risk questions,
Exactly.
because it's like you're wasting everybody's time. So this is what we need. It's like, okay, this is what my budget's going to be. This is basically what I'm going to give to you. What are your expectations? Okay, we're good now. We can go. And it's like and another one's, are you the decision maker? You politely ask that.
Yeah, and
And I'm
took
sure
a
you
while.
get a lot of that too. You get some guy, it's like, okay, Steve, go get me a quote for a website, and he's getting 6 quotes for a website, and you know what I mean? So
Exactly. And it took a while for us to get to that point where it was, are you confident in the work that you do to ask those questions right off the bat? And it takes a while.
it does.
Imposter syndrome. It's a real thing.
Yep.
For a lot of people. And it was for me, and it was, for a long time, where you're like, I don't come from fucking branding. I don't know. In the early days,
Yeah,
I
you're
don't know
afraid to ask.
I don't know anything about design. I'm doing this thing. I'm starting this business.
You'll take any business that
Scary,
comes your
man.
way.
Yeah. Early on. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's normal for anyone that's just starting out their career.
Yeah.
It's completely normal to take any business that comes your way, because number
have
one,
to.
you have to. You're especially like we've had a lot of conversations about cash flow. If you don't have any money coming in, if you got a shit client who's driving you bonkers off the wall, but you kind of need the revenue at the beginning, you kind of got to take that client. After a while, once you have like a stable revenue, and once you have like a book of business, you got a nice portfolio of clients.
You have to learn from it.
Yes.
How
that
else
too.
do you learn about how to deal with a
Shitheads.
difficult fucking client or a shithead?
They're out there.
Yeah.
They're fucking out there.
If you don't put yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
And I think anybody starting a business right off the bat, 100%, take on everything you possibly can. If it's not going to bankrupt you and you're going to survive through it, you're just going to be, that much better of a business person than if you didn't take on the tough stuff.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Next question.
Yeah. Here it is.
I want to get, okay, so we're going to preface this. So I have some opinions, and I was actually reading some stuff last night in preparation for this, just to put some ammunition for my arguments.
Sure.
It's very interesting. I have my opinion, but I'm not going to state it right away. So your staff, you're 10 people, and you guys are 100% fully remote.
Oh, yeah.
And
Only as of this March.
Okay. So you can get into all this.
Yeah.
I'm going to state for the record, if I was the owner of Harvest, I wouldn't do that. I don't agree with 100% working from home.
Okay.
I'm okay with hybrid. I understand hybrid. Like today, perfect example. It's snowing outside. People want to work from home. Fantastic. Like today's a perfect day to work from home.
A snowstorm. Those are the days. All right.
No, but like in general, this is good.
Yeah.
Okay, talk to me about this. I don't agree with what you're doing.
Okay, so I think it was probably late 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
Left the company I was working for, found an office in the Chateau Saint-Amboise in St. Henry. Now, the beauty of this building, first of all, they're all beauties that work there. Amazing ownership. Great place to start a company for a few reasons. The vibe, the people in the building. but they offer a 30-day notice clause. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this. I don't even know if it's, but anybody that asks
It's on
me,
now, baby.
it's at any point during your 1-year lease, because they only make you sign a 1 year. This isn't 5-year leases.
Jeez.
This isn't crazy stuff. I'm not going to name any building names, but you sign a 1-year lease. At any point, you can give 30-day notice. Now, they do this because it attracts businesses like mine that are growing and shrinking and moving. And a lot of the people in the building, they've grown exponentially, and they've been able to move all around the building. They've had 3, 4, 5 lofts. So as somebody starting a brand new business, it's very
Malleable.
yeah, it's a great way to start. There's very little lease risk. At any point, 30 days, I could pack up my shit and I can leave.
Good concept.
Great concept, and,
Yeah.
and it works. The building's full. There's a lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you say that real estate's
That's
dead?
that's definitely one thing. Like real estate, I'll let you go on, but just a little tiny tangent. It's like real estate will eat your profits alive.
Yep.
Like basically, it's really expensive.
But it's also limiting. It limits
Yes.
your growth. It limits the decisions that you need to make. If you're in a 5-year lease and you're in year 2, and you have this opportunity to double in size, it's a factor.
Of course.
That now you have this space that only fits this number of people.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we going to do? Should we not? That month or that week or that 5 minutes that you're thinking about what are you going to do with the space, in my opinion, is a waste of time.
Yeah.
And it's a limiter to a lot of companies growing, or if they have to downsize. Now they're fucked.
Yep.
They're in this huge
And they're
space.
and they're stuck in a lease.
They decided, we have to lay off a bunch of people, or it makes so much more sense for the business to be leaner for whatever reason. It doesn't have to necessarily be a bad thing. Now they're stuck in this lease. What do we do?
I've lived through that.
Yeah.
I've lived through that. In the lease that we had in the last building, we got a little bit lucky because the company that was leasing it out to us, they were expanding, so they ended up just taking over the lease.
Yeah.
We were having trouble finding a subtenant. And we have another, it's not the end of the world there. We have another 2 years on the lease. It was $100,000 a year. It's $200,000.
Yeah.
Ciao. $200,000.
Yeah.
And like I kind of, I ask myself the question sometimes here. It's per square foot. It's a lot less than our last building, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But I doubt myself sometimes too. I'm like, did I really need to sign I signed a 10-year lease in this place.
Crazy.
So we're here, baby. We're here.
You're here. So look. So
yeah, we're going off. Yeah, continue. Go ahead.
We move into this office.
Yeah.
Set it up the way we want. Do the whole thing. Custom desks and whatever. We have a great time. We have an amazing time. We're there for, 5 years, something like that. 5-6 years. We throw parties. We do
Great
lunch
parties.
and learns. Great parties. We do. We have clients that come by. We're staying there late nights. We go in on the weekends. Really cool vibe. Loved it. I really enjoyed those, 5-6 years of starting the business and having my own space and sharing the space with friends and just doing the whole thing. Now, February rolls around of this year. This is after me sticking it out during COVID for 2 years.
Yeah.
Pretty much sitting in this space by myself
Yeah.
with my buddy Dave.
Yeah. He's coming on next week.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's going to sit right here?
Dave Rose is coming on next
I'm going
week.
to leave him a little note in the cushion. So it was him and I for a long time. We had a few people that would come in here and there, but for the most part, everyone was working from home. I was living in an apartment. I found it very difficult to work from home in a space like that. So I went in every single day, and I said, you know what? I'm going to weather this storm. I'm going to let her rip. I'm going to go in every day. Whoever wants to come in, whoever's not, whoever's comfortable with it. I don't want to say whoever's not afraid, because that's whoever's comfortable with it,
Coming in.
come in whenever you want, doors open. I did this for 2 years. February rolls around. I close a house. I was living in St. Henry.
Yeah.
I closed on a house in the West Island. And within the same week, Dave wanted to, he decided he was going to get his own space for his company. His company was growing. He was hiring staff, and he had been working out of the Harvest space for many years. And
Yeah, I remember that.
it just didn't really feel like it wasn't his space. And it didn't feel like his space. He wanted his own identity. And he said, I'm getting my own space in the building. And this was a few months after 5 Pound also moved down the hall and built out their own studio.
Yeah.
So it was looking like, this big space.
How many square feet was it?
2,000 maybe.
Okay.
2,000 square feet.
So to put that into perspective for people who aren't aware of that, 2,000 square feet, you could probably get
18 desks.
Yeah. comfortably.
18 desks, very comfortably. We
Yeah.
had a big kitchen. We had a, lounge area, and we had a big conference room and a whole storage in our own bathroom. Like it was a great space. It was perfect. So it was looking like it was just going to be us, and us being me, and all my staff are working from home at the time. Even if I was to scale, my plan's not to scale to 18, 20 people. I said, at that moment, I said, I'm closing the office. Just like that. I said, I'm moving to the West. Big change right there. Close the office. Let's see what it's like. Now, I didn't go
And
all
this
the
was
way.
and so you, wait, well, hold on. So you closed the office because no one was coming into the office?
I closed the office because nobody was coming to the office, and because I am not one to travel, upwards of an hour a day to get to work. It's just
Okay,
I've
I
never
understand. And
any job I've ever had, I've lived 5 minutes away from it.
and most of your staff live where?
Downtown, around St. Henry, Little Italy, like they were kind of all over, but within a 20, 30-minute metro ride.
Would you have the same opinion right now that it's okay to be remote if you were living 5 minutes away from the office? I bet you wouldn't. I'm gonna call you out right now.
What repeat?
Okay, so if you right now, because you live in the West Island, so the office you had was downtown. So in your head, you're going, fuck it, I don't want to drive an hour every single day, deal with traffic, yada, 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 parking, all this shit. So I'm going to have a remote office.
Okay.
I'm saying if you lived 5 minutes away from your office, so whether the office was in the West Island or whether you had a place downtown and you were in St. Henry around there, if you had bought a place, I bet you wouldn't have the same opinion. You'd be like, no, we're going to keep the office.
Of course, it's circumstantial. It's me.
But your argument's falling apart.
Listen, let's get to what it actually is. Let's get to the fact that you don't agree with remote work because is it a productivity?
Hold on.
Is it a culture based?
But that's not what I said. I didn't say I don't agree with. I told you I wanted this to get a little spicy, and we're getting a little spicy. I like this because this is a big debate. I never said I don't agree with remote work. I don't agree with permanent remote work.
Okay.
I am totally okay. We have a hybrid system. Joey, there's plenty, like, for example, he's going back to home in Vancouver. I got no issue with that. Most of it's editing that he has to do. Joey works from home a couple days a week. Some days, look, he's a videographer. He's got to be in the office, so it makes sense. We have people here, like Fridays. No one's in the office right now. There's a few people here. Most people work from home. So I'm not saying I don't agree with remote work. A hybrid system, in my opinion, I think is the best way to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
The issue that I have with permanent remote work, is the fact that I think long term it can really damage a company just because of the fact that there's no camaraderie, there's not as much collaboration, and at the end of the day, humans are humans, and we crave basically human interaction. So I'll give you just like another example. There's a friend of mine, and I was talking to her, and I won't say the company that she's working at, but basically she works at home all day. When she goes into the office, no one's there. It's a really big corporation. And she just looked at me. She's like, I'm lonely. I'm so lonely.
Right.
Especially after COVID. She's like, I just want to basically be around people. And I just think that, like, at the end of the day, humans are humans. And I'm all for giving employees a lot of rope and all this kind of stuff and, like, let them see. I don't agree with, like, spying on employees because it doesn't make them – that's not going to make them feel like – if you're working from home, we have, like, one of those mouse trackers or something like that.
No.
I don't think that's the answer.
No.
If I don't agree with that.
Well, that's somebody that hasn't actually accepted remote work, but also hasn't built a business that could thrive working remotely.
Yes.
That you need to have, like you see on, on Instagram and TikTok, all these little tools that move your mouth.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
but there's a lot of people.
That's just a shitty culture that's been built, and it's a business that is either afraid or can't properly run unless their employees are sitting right next to them and they're hovering over them. And
But here, let me be devil's advocate. There are a lot of people that take it. You see the other stuff on TikTok and the social media platforms as well, how they're taking advantage of it. So you see, there's both sides to the story, and there's a lot of employees that they don't abuse it, and they still do their work, and they get upset that when the boss or the manager or whoever's like, hey, and they're basically saying, like, we don't fully trust you, and I can understand why that person would be upset. Be like, what the hell? Like, I work hard. I'm getting all my deadlines done. Why are you up my ass? I understand that.
Sure.
And I really do. I get that. And we try I try my best not to be like that. But they're on the other side, there are also assholes, and you're always going to get this, especially in a big company, that fully take it for granted. And those are the people that ruin it for everyone else.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I don't know, it's just, I believe in a hybrid system. And I think that just long term, and it's going to take a while for us to fully see the effects.
Yep.
Long term, I don't think if you're trying to grow a company, 100% remote is going to work, in my opinion. Just because of the fact you're not getting the collaboration, people that want to, so here's another example, people that want to move up in a company. If you want to move up in a company, typically speaking, how you're going to do that is if you're good at managing other people, if you have influence, if they look up to you, if you have leadership. How are you supposed to move up in a company if you're someone like just starting off your career? How are you supposed to move up in a company if you're fully remote? Like the management or the boss, they don't know how you deal with people. They don't know how you can delegate things. Like it's just, there's like so many things wrong that are just not efficient when it's 100% remote work.
So I will say, just because we're fully remote, I don't think every company should be fully remote. Like
Interesting.
That is
Okay.
guaranteed.
Okay.
Big companies.
Let's dive into this.
So I think if you're over a certain number of people,
How many? 50, 30, 100?
30 to 50 plus. I don't think.
Okay.
I think hybrid, by all means, go for
Okay.
it. Fridays off,
Yeah.
or whatever type of hybrid system you want to employ. I think
Yeah.
it makes sense. But I think that is a factor. But then there's also the type of business, and I'm not talking about Joey shoots. He needs to physically be here. Obviously, you're a plumber. You're not. You're there.
Yeah.
You're on site. Anything that's an
Yeah.
on site type,
Yeah.
business. But
Of course, yeah.
there are other types of businesses. There are some that really work, and I think at the end of the day, a business like Harvest, who is an agency with incredible infrastructure, we do really well without needing to be next to each other. Now, there's obviously a certain culture side of this that, like, of course you want to bring people together. We get together once a month. We go for beers, we go for dinner, little pumpkin picking, little apple picking.
But like this
throw
is
in
why
there.
but like
we do things to bring the team together, but ultimately, and this is like, maybe a weird thing to say, but and our team loves each other. Okay,
Yeah.
they actually, like, we were out for dinner last night. We haven't seen each other in over a month. Some people have never even met.
yeah,
The
It's weird
fucking
that,
fucking
yeah.
vibe, dude. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
good.
Everyone gets along. Everyone's doing their thing, and it's weird to say, but at the end of the day, people don't really want to hang out with their work buddies.
That's
and it's not because of anything. Of course, like, there's some that are friends and they.
yeah.
But at the
It
end of
also
the day,
depends on the age category.
Yeah.
So for
sure.
us, like we're a little bit of a younger staff. A lot of them do hang out outside, and this isn't like me or the management going, "Hey, you guys should hang out more." This is just them naturally. But also, they're like mid-20s, so it's.
But that's because you've hired people that you really like and that really work well with you, and naturally, it ends up being a group of people that fit really well together. And in big companies that have all these different departments, you'll never ever get that. It's always going to be cliquey or different types of
compartmentalized. Yeah.
100%,
Yeah.
and it's inevitable unless one guy is hiring and that person has been there forever and they understand the vision and the culture, and you're never really going to get a company full of like-minded people. I mean, obviously there's exceptions to every rule, but like, that's what I believe. So, like, look, in our case, we know exactly what we're here to do. We have really good policies in place. Every meeting, it's pretty much camera on unless you're completely hungover and destroyed and you can't, look into the camera. You see who you're working with on a daily basis,
Yeah.
and I guarantee you, not a day goes by that there isn't a meeting where you're meeting with a couple people on a day-to-day.
I got two examples. So here's another one because I'm just gonna go back. So today, we're renewing. We're in the process. So how it works with Lloyd's for insurance, I'm not going to get into insurance because it's a boring subject. But basically, so anyways, you have to renew your contract with the insurance company every single year.
Yep.
Okay.
Mine's coming up.
Yeah, yours is coming up. but this is with the insurance company. So like every year, it's like, okay, you have a contract. This is the criteria. These are the rules. Da 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 da. They're going through a hard time, Lloyd's, for whatever. I won't get into that either. But this guy today, so we would not have renewed our contract with Lloyd's. He said this to me, and I was thinking the same thing. This gentleman, so he's an underwriter underneath the Lloyd's umbrella, and he said, Curtis, I'm going to be honest with you. He goes, take it as you will. He's got a thick British accent. And he goes, had I not met you this year, had I not come to see you in person, I don't think I'd be renewing this right now with you.
Yep.
And he goes, the fact that I got to see you gave me a feel. It's like you're, it just gives me a feel for who you are, where your philosophy is. You just get a feel for the person. And there's a lot of cues, a lot of communication that takes place amongst humans that is not verbal.
Yep.
A lot of it's body language. A lot of it's like, I can tell in 2 seconds if someone's nervous. I can tell in 2 seconds someone, they sit down, if I'm talking to them, they cross their arms. I can tell, like, I can read all this stuff very easily that, again, you're not going to get just over a virtual call. And just to add to another point, I think that one of the big reasons that, the great resignation, the great this, the great, like, when everyone was laying off, and there's other factors. This isn't the only factor, obviously. But I think that it definitely had an influence. The fact that everybody was remote for the past 2 years, people didn't feel connected to the company that they worked for. And how can you? You haven't seen anyone for 2 years.
Of course.
You know? So there's there's again, I just want to make it clear, I'm good with a hybrid system. I don't believe you have to be 100% in the office all the time. I don't believe that you should be remote 100% of the time. I don't think that's good long-term for a company.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the companies that lead the world, like Google, like Apple, why are they bringing everyone back to the office? And they're strict with it now. You don't want to be in the office 3 days a week. And these guys know a thing or two. Like they run the world, or they run North America at least. They have influence on our culture. They have influence in politics. They have a lot of influence on what goes on. If these guys are saying, you want to work at Apple, you got to be back in the office 3 times a week. You don't want to be, you can't be here 3 times a week. Get the hell out of here. There's someone else. There's someone waiting in line to come take your position.
But what if you're not running a company that's ruling the world, and you're just running a very honest
That's a good point.
company? And
That's a good point.
And it doesn't,
That's a good point.
but because, and again, I'm speaking just for myself because I don't have any other experience working remotely at another company, but if it works for us,
it's a great discussion, by the way. This is exactly what I wanted.
but that's it, right? If it works, and the staff are generally happy, and the people that are applying to work for us are generally happy about working remotely, and not a single client has said, I mean, maybe we're losing some leads because they find out, or they ask us, we're fully remote, I'm in my office in my house, and maybe that's why we're not getting the business. But I can tell you that no one has actually said, we're not really comfortable working with you guys. You don't have a space. You don't have an office. It's never really happened. Now, I don't know. Maybe that's not the case. But if it works, and like I said, the team's happy, and things are moving, and the business is growing, and we're efficient, and we're saving hundreds of hours of travel on a monthly basis, and we're giving back hundreds of hours so that our staff can have more time with their friends and their family and personal time and whatever the fuck they need. Isn't that a beautiful thing?
There's definitely pros and cons and cons to each side. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you think if you had a hybrid system or whatever, 1 day, 2 days a week, employees need to be in the office, do you think you would be growing faster than you are today?
Hard to say. I mean, the expense of rent and cleaning and
forget the expense. I'm talking strictly, and
strictly
you're going after
productivity?
you're going after revenue. You're going after market share. Strictly just to grow the company. Do you think that you would be more productive? Do you think if people were in the office that it would help you guys grow quicker, or you don't think it would have any impact at all, or do you think it could hurt your results in trying to grow the company?
We just had our biggest year yet working fully remote with other than January, February, I guess. But in the last 2 years, pretty much 2 to 3 years, we've been fully remote, and we've been growing year over year.
Fair enough.
Now we continued to grow year over year before that when we were in an office too.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's had any effect. I think it's been a really tough year, tough couple years for a lot of people, and to throw them right back into an office setting because now you can, and because there's a risk that they might not be performing as well outside of an office, I feel like that sucks. It sucks for people. They just had a shitty fucking time. Maybe this is a way of and it's not permanent for me. Like for now, this is a for now. This is a I moved to the West.
Got it.
I'm having a kid in May.
Ah, congrats. Congratulations. I just dropped that live. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
It's
nice.
It's a it's a now thing. It's just let's see what this is like for a year, and I don't think it's permanent.
I would love to have this discussion again in like 2 years.
Yeah, even at the end of this year.
Yeah.
At the end of this year.
You might say in 6 months, fuck this, or like something
bro,
pops off.
1,000%.
I can't hire anyone. I can't do this.
In March it was the travel, and in May it's gonna be a screaming baby in the house. I'm gonna fuck off. I mean, it's like whichever way you slice it. Like it's situational.
Yeah.
But I could tell you that on my staff's end, they are more happy. They are happier in the situation that they're in, fully remote right now.
And that's fair.
And people, everything goes in waves.
I get it. I get it. And I love that point that you brought up a little bit earlier. And you're like, it depends. And you made it very clear that there's no right or wrong answer to this.
No.
Like no one knows. So it's like anyone who thinks they're absolute, it's like, no, you need to be in the office. It's like, shut up.
Just because I do things that I do for me and for my company, it doesn't mean that I think that everyone should be doing those things.
Yeah. But it's like in my this is my take on it, and we can kind of move on after this. But my take on this is basically, if I get someone and again, this is insurance, and this might be different for someone like I don't work in your industry, so I don't want to speak for other industries. But in my industry, if someone comes in and they want to get hired and they say, I'd like to be fully remote. Okay, we do have some fully remote people. It's difficult. It's a labor shortage in insurance. If they tell me I want to be fully remote, I know exactly what I'm getting. And I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. I just know the type of employee that I'm getting. And the type of employee that I'm getting is basically someone that wants to come in at 9. They want to clock out at 5. They probably got a family to take care of. And they don't live to work. They work to live, if that makes sense.
Could be.
You know what I mean? And this is my take on it. And versus
it could be
someone
that persona though.
It could, but versus someone that kind of wants to be involved, they want to be around, they want to basically have upward mobility in a company, they want to help build the company. Those people typically, they want to be, I mean, you can't help build a company if you're not around people, basically, in my industry at least. And kind of, so if someone, and again, I don't want to knock anyone. If they want to work 100% remote, you're more than welcome to come work at our office with, that's not what I'm saying, but I just know what I'm getting. And I know this isn't going to be like an employee who's going to be a pillar in the company. That's the point I'm trying to make.
What about, okay, I can understand that if the rest of the company's working in an office. But what about somebody that just wants to work for your company that just happens to live in another city? They could be as strong as anyone sitting in this office. And if the company has the infrastructure to allow them to excel, they could, rise up like anyone else sitting next to you, right?
But I don't think that it's a long-term solution. Like, for example, Claudia right now in Ontario, she's by herself. She's in Ottawa, but this isn't like I'm trying to, as fast as possible, grow that part of the business so I can get someone to work with her. Because I asked her that question. I'm like, just hypothetically speaking, Claudia, and again, this isn't what I'm trying to say to you, Claudia, but if you were to just be by yourself here for the next 10 years, she's like, fuck no, I'd go find another job. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you, what if she was in the same position, even if she was alone for the next 10 years, but she was able to meet up with the entire team on a monthly basis? Now,
you'd have to ask her.
Montreal, Ottawa is not Montreal, Toronto, Montreal, New York, whatever. Yeah. It's an hour and a half away. It's not that crazy.
Yeah.
But it's still, for a day thing, you're not driving 3-4 hours to get here.
You'd have to ask her. Yeah.
Let's call her. They do that on these. This is a game show, isn't it?
No, she's like in the midst. She's at a tournament right now, kind of going on. That would be like Claudia.
Phone a friend. That'd be cool.
Yeah, Claudia. I forgot the question.
You should do that on some upcoming ones. You should do phone-in questions, but like live.
Dude, there's so many things that
recorded. Like you get like a Phil Lee to like read out a question, and you just.
I want to get one of those things, kind of like a TV here. And it's like Joey in the back. So whenever we have so it's like, Joey, can you fact check that for us? And he kind of it does the thing and it pops up right there. It zooms in. And you're like, oh, okay, perfect. Thanks, Joey. Scroll down. No,
They'll
stop
overlay
there.
it instead of having an actual
Yeah.
TV. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to move on. You're gonna look
Yeah.
at my phone to kind of the questions that we got here because I wrote down and that was good. So I think here actually before we move on, I think basically let's wrap this up with your conclusion.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on?
On remote work,
Yes.
it depends. If you can run a business that can do well under remote work circumstances, power to you. I hope it works out long term.
Yeah.
And if you can't, better find an office with people that want to come in every day and
Yep.
that are willing to, make that trek out for you and work just as hard as they would if they were in their own, comfort of their own home.
It's fair. It's a
Yeah.
fair point. I think I would agree with you. There's no right or wrong answer. It depends on the person, depends on the company, depends on the industry.
Yep.
If you want to, I think it's a case by case thing.
Yep.
And there's no right way and there's no wrong way.
Yep.
I would agree with you on that. I would agree. All right. Hey, we ended up agreeing.
I like that.
That wasn't as spicy as I wanted to. That take was. I want to be a little spicier. Some raised voices. No, I'm kidding. That's. I just want to say this thing too before we go on. It's that the partnership that we work together because you basically branding agency, you do all of our web development and all that kind of stuff. You have a good partner when you've been through an argument.
Yeah.
We've had one, and it was a big argument. We had a big disagreement.
Yeah, we shook.
Yeah.
We hugged.
Yeah, but you get through it. That's when you know that
Yeah.
you have like a good
There's mutual
relationship
respect.
with
I mean,
somebody.
Look, shit
Yeah.
gets hot. I mean, even with our current staff,
Yeah.
anyone. But if you can leave that, or if you can finish that conversation and shake it out and give a hug, and that there's something long term. If
Yeah.
it ends and the other guy's kind of like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
it's
And it also
never going to be long term.
I agree, and I also think that it shows that you're comfortable enough with the other party.
Yeah.
If you're having an actual and like a respectful, even though it got heated, it was a disagreement. It never gets personal. It wasn't fuck you, you asshole. Like that
No.
shit doesn't fly.
No.
But the fact that there was a disagreement, it was purely a business disagreement.
Dude, we're doing business now six years.
Yeah, of course. There's
Bound-
shit's
bound
gonna
to
happen.
happen.
I'm sure it'll happen again. I hope it doesn't
It's gonna
happen again.
right after this.
But yeah, no, you guys have been good, and you've learned a lot as well. It's like an advertisement for Harvest. I can tell that your guys' processes have gotten a lot better as well in terms of building out the websites and stuff like that. And we got a nice, nimble, quick, mobile-friendly website. I can't wait for
90
this
plus performance all
on the
around.
speed. Yeah. Like we got the SEO firing, we got the paid ads firing. Like our website from when we first started to today. And this has always been my vision. I want to build the company around the website, hence all the video strategy that we have for digital marketing, video strategy, all that kind of stuff. It's like I want to digitize the agency. I still believe in old school sales. I definitely still believe in cold calling. It definitely works. But again, I guess I'm a hybrid guy. If you can get a hybrid, so you bring in all these like juicy, sexy leads, and you accompany that with basically like a real human touch, someone to follow up right away, to ask the questions, to have like just a nice user or client experience. I think a hybrid system is really the way to go. And I think there's just 100%. A lot of, people still with online stuff for some things you don't need to speak to anyone. For insurance, for whatever reason, people in Quebec, the consumer, they like to speak to they like to get the quote online, and then they like to finalize with humans. I don't know why. That's just the way it is. Oh my God, it's been over an hour. Holy shit. Okay, here. I got a couple questions.
What else you got?
Okay, let's finish with this.
Yeah.
Or we don't have to finish. We can just keep talking. I see you as, and you're very eloquent in the way you articulate the things. You're very good at describing brands and understanding brands. And that comment you made at the beginning of this podcast saying, well, you can spend a price to basically build a new logo. You can spend $1 million and it's going to be a masterpiece. Like, that's just something I found. I'm like, wow, I would never say that. Like, that's just, but your brain works in a way, and this is why I like talking to you about these things. And once we get up and running with the podcast, I'm going to call you again, and I want to basically, I want you to give like obviously some feedback and stuff where we can kind of just make sure everything's on brand. Right now, we're just trying to get the workflow in place. Once it's in place, we can start making the tweaks.
Yep.
Probably about a month and a half away from that. That's neither here nor there. So could we just dive into brand? Like, I know it's a broad topic, but like, what is brand, and how does a company find its why? How does a company describe like why it exists? And it's a very like their mission statement, and it's not as easy as it sounds. I have like, I'm not really explaining this question really well, but let's just talk about brand, I guess, and why like a company trying to define why it exists.
So, I think brand goes well beyond a logo and a color and a font and it's all of the touch points, anything that you see of a company, anything that you feel of a company, anything that you hear about a company, all of that make up a brand. And what we try to do, and it's not always easy with a lot of small businesses, is ensure consistent vision and visuals around everything that a brand does. So we've worked with a lot of clients. We built out their logo design, their brand guidelines, their voice, their website. We did a lot of print stuff, did a lot of digital design for social media and this and that. And then, they had an event coming up, and they wanted like a banner and some stuff to throw up at the event. And they were just like, it's good. Like, we'll take the logo. We'll just make it ourselves. Now, they didn't hand this work off to a designer. They obviously, someone did it that had some level of experience in these design softwares, and they took the logo and they probably like skimmed through the brand manual, didn't really know what they were looking at, and ultimately put something together that wasn't on brand. It was, the logo was too big and it wasn't perfectly centered, and there were issues with the end result. Now, that's not building a strong brand. It's not building something that's consistent through and through. It's not building something of a high quality and doing everything you can to not only maintain that, but continuously find ways to level that up and make it better and try new things, because then you have a brand that's looked the same for many, many years. And I mean, that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that everything that goes out is consistent, but we're also trying to make sure that the brand is felt by the people building the business. You're a stakeholder, Joey's a stakeholder, your staff, they're all people that are talking about your brand, they're engaging, they have, they're on LinkedIn, maybe all their headshots are the same and their banners at the top are consistent, and everybody has a very consistent way of explaining what they do for the company, down to your invoice templates and your envelopes that get sent out, and all the little touch points that make up a brand. Now,
but there's something, and like you're right, like that all ties into the brand, but there's something deeper than that.
The essence.
Yes, that's what I want. And I know it's like, it's difficult. I always say this, it's so difficult to articulate the why of a company.
Yes.
That's like Simon Sinek says. It's kind of like the why does this company exist? I want to talk about that and like the feeling. Why do people? How do you help? Because you're certainly helping us. We're doing a rebrand right now, and you're helping us go through this exercise of like, okay, well, at the end of the day, why does KBD exist? I can't articulate it. It's like a feeling that I have. We sell insurance, but that's what we do. It's not why we do it.
For sure.
So it's like you kind of dive into that, the essence, the deep shit.
It's tough, man. And I think most companies, a why exists. They've never been able to explain it. They've never said it out loud.
It's a problem, though.
There's very few brands that are just doing it to like make money, and there's no reason. But there are a lot of companies like that.
But there's like, I'll give an example. So let's say Google. Why does Google exist? When they started off, they wanted to organize the internet's data.
Yep.
And that is the mission. When you go work at Google, you know that you're like, okay, I'm here as a developer or whatever. This is what we're trying to do. And
Yes.
and like that is important. It's like the essence of Google, why it exists. This is why it exists. And there's a lot of companies, yeah, it's I'm not really explaining this very well.
So what would you say KBD's mission is?
I can't articulate it. I have a feeling. I want to give the best client experience possible, but is that why we exist? I'm not sure. And we're going through this exercise now. It's a journey. I've been trying to answer this question for like a year.
Yeah.
And I don't have an answer. I can feel it, but I can't express it. I can't put it on paper. And hopefully after we're done this rebrand, we can kind of put it like a mission statement. Like here, I wrote this down. So for you guys, and I like this, for the mission statement, you guys have on the first page of your website, we're a creative agency using small shop smarts to drive big business growth. And I think that's like, would you say that that's your mission statement?
It's part of it.
Okay.
It's definitely like a pretty key kind of message that we've been pushing for the last year or two.
Okay.
I think really for us, like our mission is to treat every project as if it were our own. That's our kind of MO in this, in doing this, in which, you know, what we're doing for our clients has nothing to do with the vision or the bigger picture of the company. It's really the fact that anything that we're building for our clients, we're doing it with intent. We're doing it as if it were our own project. And mission statements are fucking vague too, in a lot of ways. They're mysterious, and but it has a lot to do with like rallying up the troops, and it's getting your company excited and pumped about the company they work for, because where you work is a lot.
We're going down that path, and it's like we're scratching the surface, and it's like, why does everyone buy Nike? Like the power that brand has. Why does everyone buy Apple? It's like there's something about it.
Yeah.
That like,
I think a lot of people are creatures of habit. I think that has a part to do with it.
It's more than that. It's more than that. It's more than that. You know what I mean?
I buy Nike because, in part, because I've just always worn Nike shoes. My mom bought those.
But why did you buy? Why?
My mom bought them for me as a kid.
Why did your mom
buy them? I continued with them.
But why do you think your mom bought them?
Who knows? Maybe she had them. Look, I think you know, brand goes obviously deeper than tradition. It goes deeper than it's. You know, well, here let's try to break this down. Nike, Adidas,
I'd like to break
Nike,
this down.
Adidas. Okay.
Yeah.
I connect with Nike. You?
Nike.
I never bought a pair of Adidas in my entire life, or Reebok. It's just, I have no idea why. I can't tell you why.
Yeah.
Why is that? It's not like I know who owns the company and I don't like that guy. It's not that, like, I mean, in part, I find the Nike logo to be a little sexier than the Adidas or the Reebok logos.
But
Reebok has huge, fucking massive.
I think Nike, this is what I think when I think Nike. When I think Nike, I think about Michael Jordan and I think about Tiger Woods, and these are the people that I look up to the most. I love sports.
Yeah.
Their mentality, their killer instinct, and the fact that Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods as well, he wasn't as vocal about it, but the fact that how competitive their spirit was, and the fact that I have so much respect for them. That's why I buy Nike. This is just me.
But there are ambassadors that are just as big
they're
in
not.
other brands.
I disagree.
There has to be.
There is, not for me. I think that, like, just because you're good at sports doesn't mean, like, Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods lived the sport that they played.
Yeah.
Like, they were that sport. Michael Jordan, all he did, he basically sacrificed his life to the craft of basketball for the years that he was playing professional basketball. And not everyone's going to do that. And I think he's the GOAT, and some people think it's LeBron James, but just his mentality, his killer instinct.
He was there first. That's why he's often seen as.
But he resonates with me the most. Maybe it's because I'm an 80s baby. Maybe that's why. But also, too, it's just like I like his mindset. I try and take as much of that into business as possible. I'm a competitive guy. Money's great, yeah, but that's not what motivates me. What motivates me is, like, I want to beat my competitors. I look at it as a sports league almost. Right. It's like people go, beat them how? I'm like, I don't know. I just want to beat them. And this abstract definition of winning in business. But we're kind of getting off topic. That's why I buy from Nike. It's these guys, and it's something deeper. It's like when Tiger Woods won the Masters in 2017. Dude, I cried. I love golf. I like just watching that, just to see the comeback, and that's what I think when I think of Nike.
Yeah.
It's like really deep for me. That's why I buy Nike. But that's a brand. I can't articulate it, but this is how I feel.
Okay. I mean, that's amazing. That's really cool. Like, you know, I think I'm more of a, you know, visual guy when it comes to brands. I mean, obviously every brand has a story, and that's a really important part to any company and any brand. But, you know, the essence, man. Essence is a hard thing to contextualize.
It is. It's
You
a
know?
tough conversation, and like, I guess like we're not. This is a difficult conversation. I'm trying to basically like conceptualize the definition of brand and how to find brand, how to build it, and we're not doing a very good job at it right now. But it's like
I think we're doing great. We're doing great.
It's a tough conversation.
This is only
to
my
have.
first podcast of the day, so we have I'm just warming up.
Okay, there's this story that I just want to we can wrap up like relatively soon, but there's this story, and this is for like people starting businesses, that I remember that you told me when you forgot. I don't know, I think you had been in business for like a year, 2 years maybe, and this is before clouds were popular, and you forgot your hard drives in
Oh
a
my
school
God.
bag at a
Yeah.
restaurant.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the story?
Yeah, I was in New York City with a couple friends, and yeah, at the time, like I didn't have a Dropbox account. I had a hard drive.
It existed at that time though, right?
Yeah, it must have. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. In
Okay.
2014.
Okay, yeah.
2014, 2015.
Okay.
Everything was going on a hard drive.
Yeah.
And we went to a restaurant in New York City, busy restaurant. We sat out on the patio and ate a whole bunch of barbecue and got in a cab and left. And I'm not even kidding, like 20, 25 minutes driving.
Oh
I
my
go,
God.
holy fuck, my bag. My whole company, everything that everything, the whole thing, it didn't exist. I mean, yeah, I could have grabbed things.
What was the feeling in your stomach?
Dude, I mean, I have client work on here. So like things that I've either already delivered to a client that they might need at some point was on there. Projects that were ongoing that have yet to be delivered, and however many hundreds of hours of work had already gone
my
into
God.
it was on there.
How many
And-
hours of work did you have on these hard drives, would you say?
Thousands.
Oh my God. Oh my
Thousands.
God. Okay.
And everything that I had built for the company. So all of our agreements and contract templates, and obviously a lot could have been recovered by maybe downloading what was sent through emails over the last year and a couple years. But it was a lot, and I think there was even more on there. I think there was like probably a whack of personal stuff, photos, this, that. So we turn the cab around, head
Jeez.
back, run into the restaurant,
Panicking.
panicking, like it's gone. Like this, the
Yeah, yeah,
restaurant
yeah.
wasn't answering when we were trying to
Oh,
call.
fuck, yeah. Was it like a Friday? Like a busy day?
It slammed.
Ugh.
Run in. The bag's there.
Oh, yeah.
Now what did I do? I called you when I got back and I said, I need insurance. Right? What if
That's not covered, by the way.
what's
if
not
you,
covered?
Bro, you lose your data, your problem.
No, it's if a client sues you for having lost data for any reason is why I would have hit you.
I'd have to check into that. For if they sued you for lost, I don't think that would be covered, because lost data is not a covered loss. Like if you're someone that doesn't put your stuff onto like a cloud server and there's a fire and everything's on a hard drive, like that's gone. That's
Right.
the insurance. No insurance is gonna pay for that.
Either way, needed insurance.
Yeah.
But I since have. I mean, obviously we're talking. 7 years ago now. Since put everything is on the cloud. I don't own. You know what? Some fun fact about me: I don't own a single piece of paper.
Good for you.
A receipt. I don't own a receipt. Everything is immediately within the same day, scanned in a folder, labeled. It's beautiful.
And like you're used to it by now, so
I
it's
could
kind of just
you
like
could burn. I mean, God forbid, whatever, you could throw all my laptops in the incinerator
And you'd be good.
and burn everything down. I just go to the Apple Store, get another one, and within 5 minutes, I'm back up to where I was.
It's a nice feeling, though.
It's cool.
Yeah, that's a good feeling.
It's really cool.
And any, in my opinion, any business owner should be like that. Anyone, it doesn't have to be a business owner. You should be like
Drives
that.
me crazy.
And a lot of people don't do that. Like, we go through once a year, we'll update our disaster plan. But we're kind of, well, if there's a fire here, flood, there's all this kind of stuff, you know? So it's like, for us, if we were to have, we'd be fine. The first day would be rocky, but after, we'd be fine. Like, if we were to have a fire here in the
Amazing.
office. Yeah. And
I
that's,
think everybody should be like that.
yeah.
What about the cybersecurity risks?
In what sense?
You heard about the city of Westmount?
They got hit ransomware, I'm guessing.
It's like, what is that exactly?
A ransomware attack, it's basically these hackers, they come and they smack a lot of people that have really, you know, if you have data on a server somewhere, and typically speaking, like municipalities and anything government drive me nuts. They're so strict with private businesses on protecting personal data, and they don't fucking protect any data because there's no accountability for people that work for the city or something. They don't care. So our data is all over the place. It's not protected, and they're not going to they take forever to do anything. But I'm going on a rant. Cyber insurance would cover you for, if they had it, would cover you for the ransomware attack. So if a hacker comes in, let's say you have everyone's date of birth, their social insurance number, et cetera, on a server somewhere. They come in, they're going to encrypt it, and then they're going to demand, we know what it is, right? They're going to demand like payment in Bitcoin or some type of cryptocurrency, and then they'll decrypt it for you. They don't always decrypt it for you. But what's happening now, this is interesting. Over COVID, insurance companies, cyber insurance companies in particular, lost a lot of money. They paid out a lot of claims because there was a big rise in cyber attacks, right? Yeah. So they're getting a lot more strict with...
We have a cyber plan with you guys.
You do.
E&O, right?
Yes, and errors and omissions. But the insurance companies are getting a lot more strict with the requirements for the security that you have in place as a company in order... So if they're like, you want to get our insurance, we need this, we need this, we need this, and we need this. Because they used to just hand out cyber insurance like hotcakes, and look what happened. So for like last year, some insurance companies, for every dollar they collected in premium for cyber insurance, they're paying out like $2.50, $3 in claims. Wow. So that's why cyber insurance rates, they're going through the roof, and depending on what you do, but it's something that you should definitely have. For sure. We have a cyber insurance policy. I mean, like, we have everything as secure as we can get, we are, but shit still happens. What happens if, all our calls are recorded? What fucking happens if that gets a data breach? I have all their information except for their social insurance number. Yeah. I probably shouldn't even say that. But it's like, but any recorded call anywhere. Right. There's so much data on these, and these recorded calls are any bank, any credit card company. All this stuff is stored somewhere on a server, right? If the call is recorded, it's being hosted somewhere. And so this is just the world that we live in right now.
Big time.
Are you afraid to get cyber attacked?
No.
Because you have everything backed up.
No, I don't. I mean, it's on the drive, man. It's on the hard drive. It's on the Google Drive machine.
Okay, so let's end up with this. Who would you say? What's one of your biggest mentor? The person you look up to the most?
Good question. I really like this guy Chris Do of The Future.
Okay, I don't know who he is.
He's a branding master. He does a lot of podcast stuff. He's amazing. He sells courses. He sells ebooks. He just recently put out his own book. I look up to him a lot, and
so he works in the same space as you.
Yeah, more or less. Okay. More or less. I think he transitioned from doing a lot of brand work, and I think he for sure still does, to kind of repackaging that into courses, boot camps. So he's kind of acting a little bit more as like a coach these days. He's in the States. Okay. And Aaron Draplin, who's a designer that I've been, following and looking up to for a very long time.
So these are guys that and do you find that the fact that you look up to them in the work that they do. Do you find that's like benefited your business?
Yeah, big time. Big time. I mean, I did a workshop with Aaron Draplin in
Cool.
I went to a conference in Amsterdam, and he was one of the keynote speakers, and he had a workshop there. So I don't know, you pay an extra $1,000 or
Yeah.
whatever it was, and you have this like 2 or 3 day workshop with him and I don't know, handful of other guys and gals. And what was really cool was seeing his process in real time, like being able to show him what we're doing and getting validation on that work and on the way that we're structuring our files and our folders. And that's
Was this
so
the guy that was
important.
helping you? Because you went through your whole processes like a year ago. I remember when I was working with Eric.
Yeah.
Was this when? Remember you had someone come and check all your workflows and everything like that. Was this the guy?
No.
That's someone else.
No, that's someone else.
Okay.
But yeah, it was cool, man. I mean, these guys put out tidbits and they put out full-blown courses and templates and they talk about what their processes are and how they've been successful in a space that's very similar. And if you don't tune in and you don't pick up on those things, how else are you going to know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I started this company on fucking YouTube. I mean, how else do you learn something by not being taught it, by not being, the type to go out and find that information, asking questions, trial and error? I mean,
That's something that like a lot of entrepreneurs or people that work in a business, it's like excuse me, they don't realize how much trial and error there is in a business and how important it is to have trial and error.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this before with like, again, the big guys. So let's just take Amazon. Everyone knows Amazon, obviously. But like,
what's that?
like I think they're the e-commerce company. They send you shit,
Yeah,
order online, they ship it to you.
the toilet paper delivery company.
Yeah, exactly. But Jeff Bezos, he's talking about it, and so AWS, like their cloud servers,
Yeah.
and so he had a home run there. They make a lot of money off it today, highly profitable, and he's saying, well, AWS, yes, of course, it was a home run, and we also have 40 skeletons in the closet of projects we tried and wasted billions of dollars on. And he's like, I don't look at it as wasting because we got AWS out of this.
Yeah.
So people need to understand that, and like it's okay to have churn. It's not okay. It's necessary if you want to grow your business. And in my opinion, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
You should always be trying new things. You should have an open mind. You should try and listen. You should try and. It's
1000%.
important to have these things.
You gotta reinvest in your own company, in yourself, in your brand at all times.
Yeah.
You need to be resourceful.
Yep.
And you need to constantly be trying new things. You need to constantly be failing.
Yeah.
You need to eat shit, or you're never gonna fucking learn. I don't know how else to put it.
No, I agree. What if you were to restart all over again today?
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing. You're restarting Harvest.
Yeah.
Give me one thing that you would do differently.
Focus. I would focus on way fewer services.
Okay.
As we've done over the last 3 years, we've really, trimmed the fat,
Yeah.
narrowed down, focused on what makes us money and what we do best. And I think, the companies that are, full service and 360, it's an approach that I don't understand how a company of your size can possibly be masters at all of those things.
Totally agree.
It doesn't make any. I either that or I'm completely fucking delusional and I have no idea what I'm doing.
I don't think you're delusional, but I agree. And there's like,
Sounds about right.
there's like these, when you get to a certain size, and again, we'll just take a company like Apple. Like Apple, I find Apple, it's almost like it's under the Apple umbrella, but they're so big, it's like companies within the company right now at this point. Then, okay, it makes sense to cross-sell and synergize a lot of the clients that you already have. But there's like, I agree, if you're like 10 employees, have a niche, go after it, focus, get really good at it.
And then expand.
Yes.
It's
yes.
That's the main thing that I think I would
agree.
have done differently. I would have probably saved a lot of time.
I agree.
I would have gotten, I think I would have probably been further along in what I'm doing, but I have a different outlook at growing a business than a lot of other people do. I know a lot of people that started at the same time as me that are
Way bigger?
way bigger, but doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they're happier. Doesn't mean they're making more money.
Nope.
It doesn't mean they're fulfilled. It doesn't mean
Yep.
that their clients respect them more. I don't know. I don't know. And, early on, and I think you asked me this many times throughout the year, and I got the same question from staff, and I get asked this when interviewing people a lot. When they apply, they say, where do you want to be? Like, how big do you want to grow this thing? Like, I don't have an answer for that question.
Mm.
I mean, I have an idea. I have a bit of a roadmap, 6 to 12 months down the line. But, when someone asks about growth, is it in the number of people?
So what's
Is
your
it-
vision?
Is it the revenue? Is it the bottom line? Like, there's a million different kind of definitions for that. So, what's the vision right now for me
Yeah.
is we just had 2 to 3 really good years. We understand our business as well as we ever have. And we've built up a 10-person pod. Now, I'd say mid to end this year, we're going to make a decision as to whether or not we want to replicate a second pod and bring this to 20 people.
Got it.
This isn't the type of business that operates, at least in the way that I've structured it, where you can just, add people along the way. It's like this is the structure of the team, and you need to, build out another team alongside it. So that's kind of the plan, is to see kind of how this year goes. Hopefully have another really strong year. Every year we're kind of, restructuring a little bit and having fun with it. And hopefully we make a decision to double it by the end of this year, or we make the decision that we're really happy with where we're at and we're going to keep it as is. And both are great with me,
I don't have any more questions. Do you have any more questions? Any comments you'd like to make?
No, this was fun, man.
What do you think?
I like the room. I like these. I like that Banff print, and I like this is
Ollie and
Yeah. which is amazing.
not Ollie Fraser, Ollie and Sonny Liston.
I like this room.
Thank you. This was Joey and Natalie who
Yeah,
they did everything.
it's great.
It's like I don't know how, and like you're a big design guy, so it's like I said at the beginning when it came out, I'm like, man, I hope Brandon likes this.
No, I do. I really like it. It's awesome.
Brandon, thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Harrar, Harvest, web design, creative agency. And yeah, thanks.
Thanks for having me, man.
See you later, dude.
Peace.